right, good morning. My name is Yitz, Wyne, and I'm your host here on The Rabbi Show. I'm also the Rabbi of Young Israel Aish of Las Vegas. Fantastic outreach synagogue, and I have great news for you. You ready for this? The Almighty loves you very much. It is true. Wishing all Jews around a happy Passover. We're still in Passover. Wishing all those that celebrate Easter a happy Easter. And do you believe in miracles? I was tempted to play the Al Michaels, clip from the 1980 Winter Olympics, when he says, "Oh my gosh, do you believe in miracles?" But I thought of it. It's a great clip, but still, the point here is I don't want to focus only on sports miracles, but I do want to focus on miracles. I mean, listen, 'tis the season, right? If you're celebrating Passover, so you're thinking about all the miracles that God did in order to destroy Pharaoh and Egypt and all the 10 plagues, and then having the splitting of the sea, the Jewish people going across dry land on the sea, and then having the sea collapse on the Egyptian army and drowning them. Then the Jewish people are stuck on the other side, and the manna falling from heaven, and a well of Miriam that miraculously followed the Jewish people around, throughout the 40 years in the desert. Clouds of glory that protected them. Their clothes did not wear out. They did not, they stayed in perfect health. So these are just some of the things that are kind of like in the forefront of what we're thinking about. If you have a connection to the Jewish people and a connection to Judaism and you're celebrating Passover, that's what's going on through your head. It's interesting, tonight there is another Yom Tov. Passover outside of the land of Israel is an 8-day holiday. For 8 days, we don't eat bread. For 8 days, we eat matzah. We don't eat anything leavened. I didn't even go to Coffee Bean today to get my coffee. I'm walking around with homebrewed coffee. That's what I'm doing. Because don't even walk into a restaurant that doesn't have bread. That serves bread. I don't want it around. I don't even want not a crumb. Don't even want a crumb of that stuff. So, so the first 2 days are what we like to call non-driving days. In other words, those are days that we don't use our phones. We don't use computers. We don't get in a car and drive. We don't write. We don't do laundry. You don't garden. Don't do any gardening. Those things. So we abstain from all that kind of stuff for the first 2 days of Passover. And the last 2 days of Passover also, we abstain from that. So it was interesting. So I was asked to do the invocation at City Hall again, which is always fun. It's always fun, like when the city council opens up their, the mayor opens up their, their session, and so periodically I go up there. I'm invited. I go up there. I speak at the beginning of the meeting, and it's always a lot of fun. So it happens to be that the next meeting is on a Yom Tov day. It's Wednesday morning. So it's going, yeah. So what happens is, so I'm not available. So Tuesday morning, I think that it's got to be maybe I am available. Look at this. Okay. All right, didn't think of this. I think I am available on Wednesday. I thought it was Wednesday when they sent me the invitation. I said, I think it's Yom Tov Day, but I think I missed it. Anyway, so the point is like this. So I'm telling the lady, well, it's like it's Passover, it's a holiday, and it doesn't work out. 'Cause don't get in the car. So, but what's the last part of Passover? What do we actually celebrate? The last part of Passover is the celebration of the splitting of the sea. That's what it is. I might not have my calendar straight, but I got my holidays straight. The thing is like this: it's splitting of the sea. The first part of Passover is when God came and killed the firstborn of Egypt, and then said, "Get out." And then Moses said, okay, we'll take our sweet little time. And rather than leaving in the middle of the night, so Moses said, we'll wait till sunrise. And then the Jewish people picked up and they walked out because they wanted to walk out on their terms, not Pharaoh's terms. And so they walk out. Then they go to the sea, and they're hanging by the sea. The Egyptian army has a change of heart. Pharaoh, after 3 days, says, "Oh my God, what am I doing? How do I let all these slaves go?" And then he chases after the slaves. And when he chases after the Jews, So he presses the Jews against the sea, so to speak. And the only reason the Pharaoh did not come in and slaughter the Jews en masse was because there was a pillar of fire that stood between the Jewish people and Pharaoh's army. So again, that's another miracle. We don't talk about that miracle a lot, but it was a big miracle. And then God comes to Moses and says, "Hey, Moses, what are you doing? What are you doing praying? Why are you crying out to me? Let's go. Go in the sea." So the sea is raging. The sea's not split in anything. And then there's a man. His name is Nachshon ben Aminadav. Easy for you to say. And he picks up and he goes into the sea. And our tradition is that he walks all the way until the water is up to his neck. And after he walks in, he's getting all wet, right? After he's going in there, the water's up to his neck, up to his nose, whatnot. Then the sea splits. It splits it wide enough that the millions of people could walk through the sea on dry land. And then when we get to the other side of the sea comes collapse. The Egyptian army, follows us into the sea, and then the water collapses on them and drowns them. So again, another miracle. Many miracles that are going on over there. Many, many miracles that are happening. So do you believe in miracles? You believe in the Bible, but you believe in miracles. What are you talking about? Yeah, does it make a difference in your life if you believe in miracles? So I would tell you that, no, I do believe in miracles. And I would tell you that it makes a huge difference in your life. Now, this is the point. People don't think about it. But if I view the world through a certain reality, it's beneficial to me. Yeah, and that reality is correct, by the way. Then it's beneficial to me to continuously remind myself of that reality. Because, see, we live in a world that the God is hiding behind a veil. We live in a world that there's a lot of, God's fingerprint is all over the place, but it's hidden. And so therefore he is hidden, and we can forget. You can forget that you believe in miracles. So this is what happens. You open up the Bible, you open up your Torah, you celebrate a holiday. You celebrate a Passover, you celebrate an Easter, you celebrate whatever and you're talking about miracles. You're talking about things that are beyond what we see, smell, touch. Things happen. You say, God runs the world. There's something beyond what I can see. And you're saying there's this force out there. We'll call him God. And he's manipulating the world in such a way that if I communicate to him, I can change what the natural trajectory of my life would be. If I do something that I know that he will notice me, I am exceptionally righteous or I'm exceptionally evil, actually. Can work both ways. I can change the trajectory of my life because God's always manipulating nature. So if I read the Bible, I say, well, listen, he created, God split the sea, God sent down all those plagues on Egypt, he did all these things, sent the manna from heaven. Okay, hey, there's miracles. The things are happening here. I can get in touch with that. But what happens more often than not is we go to sleep and we don't live like we have miracles. And then we begin to worry. You begin to worry. It's interesting. Why was it that the Jewish people were fed the manna in the desert every single day? 6 days a week, the manna would fall. On Friday, a double portion of manna would fall, enough for Friday and enough for Saturday, for Shabbat, so that the Jewish people would not have to go to work on Shabbat. They would not have to walk out of their tents and collect their food. So he would go through this. Why every single day for 40 years? Why didn't God say, listen, you know what? I love you guys. Here's enough for a week. Here's enough for a month. There you go. I didn't want to carry it around so much. Okay, fine. So we'll give it to you. Why didn't God do it that way? Imagine your father who loves you very, very, very much. And he comes, he says, you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you, how much money do you need today? You need $100 a day? Fine. Here's $100. I'll give you a $100 bill every morning. Every morning when you wake up in the morning, on your dresser, there's going to be an envelope. And that envelope is going to be one $100 bill. And that's what you got to You got to support yourself. That's, you're going to buy your food, buy your gas, that kind of stuff. And then once in a while, I'll throw you a little more, it's like a bigger car payment, whatever, maybe the rent at the end of the month, something like that. Okay. So you have your daily stuff, whatever you need. Okay. $100, every day. Then one day you get a great idea and you say, hey, Dad, if you really love me, why should I have to collect my money every day? Why don't you give me, you know what? Why don't you give me $3,000 at the beginning of the month? You're not giving any more. It's not costing any more. But this I got it. I got $3,000 of that. I can go. I can do something fun. I can do something fun. I don't have to scrimp and save. And by the way, I don't have to worry about it. I know it's coming the next day. No, wait. Dad, if you really love me, then why don't you just give me, $35,000, once a year, $36,000, once a year. Why don't you do that, right? Just give me a chunk of cash. And then we don't have to worry about things. So what's the difference? The difference is that when you get it every single day, you learn to communicate every single day with God. You learn to trust in God every single day. So the Jewish people, they went to God college those 40 years. Those 40 years, that was University of God, right? That's what the Jewish people were doing when they were traveling through the desert for 40 years. University of God, they were learning how to trust God every single day. Yeah, God could have given them enough sustenance for a year, but he didn't want to do that because he wanted the Jews to learn to get in their spiritual DNA to trust God. But again, they saw a miracle every single day. Every single day they walked with the well of Miriam was next to them. Every single day there was a cloud of glory that protected them. A pillar of fire at night and a cloud of glory in the day. And all this was to develop a sense of trust in God, of God awareness. It's very, very deep inside the soul. So now imagine if you lived with that awareness every day. Imagine how your life would be different if you lived with the awareness that God was manipulating the force of nature every single day, okay, for you. And he could. Would you worry less? Would you be a little happier? Would you be a little more excited about life? The number to call, 702-257-5396. My name is Rabbi Yitz Wyne. I'm the Rabbi of Young Israel, Aish of Las Vegas, and your host here on The Rabbi Show. And we're talking about miracles. Happy Passover, happy Easter. And, we're thinking about miracles. We're thinking about the fact that God engages in our life. And so the question is, if you were to keep that, if you were to remember that on a more regular basis, how would it affect your life? 702-257-5396. Do you believe in miracles, and what's the difference? So, I want to share with you a very, very important concept. We find that the tradition, Jewish tradition, teaches us that God actually works on three levels. There's actually three levels that he runs the world. The first level that God runs the world is he runs the world in the form of miracles. Now, these are the miracles that are mentioned in the Torah, in the Bible. Miracles like splitting the sea. Miracles like the 10 plagues, death of the firstborn. Miracles like the manna falling from heaven and the clouds of glory. Okay. God only performed those miracles in the time of the Bible. He does not repeat those miracles. Those are done. God performed those miracles for certain individuals as well. There were certain righteous people that God performed those miracles for. That's the first level that God leads the world. The next level is that God leads the world in the natural. The natural would be things that are fixed. And there's a casual relationship, such as rain falling on the ground and producing bread for people and, fodder for animals. Okay, so you get this. So you have the natural, what we see, what we touch, that's what's going on. Rain falling down, plants growing, and the miraculous, which transcends nature entirely. We're like even splitting of the Jordan River. So, okay, so these are complete alterations of natural laws, and they are only done for the entire Jewish people or certain unique individuals, such as prophets and other holy people. Then there is a third level. a third way that God relates to the world. Ready for this? That is in the world of blessing. Dum, 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 dum. This is very important. Blessing is an intermediary stage between miracles and nature. See, a miracle is something completely new. And it does not involve total innovation. It's a miracle is a change of the trajectory of life. God does not want to do that completely. Then, because we are not living in a generation that merits those miracles, that if God were to perform those miracles on a regular basis, if God was to do that, then the veil of the Almighty would be exposed, okay, and our free will would be diminished, right? If you saw God so clearly in the world all the time, that would be like, well, that would be like driving down the street and looking in your rearview mirror and always seeing a policeman. You wouldn't speed, okay? Life would not be so good, by the way. I mean, I know many policemen. I like them. They're very nice people. But I don't want to drive in front of them, okay? That's not, I don't want them following me, all right? I like them very much, but, come when I need you, please. But don't follow me around. All right, so this world of blessing, this is the intermediary level. It's not the natural, and it's not miraculous. And folks, where you want to live is in the world of blessing. You really want to live in the world of blessing. The world of blessing means that I am going to look at any project I'm doing. I know that if it was left up to me, I would be successful on a certain level. But in the world of blessing, I'm successful plus 20%. That's the world of blessing. And that's how we want to live. It's very, very interesting. Many years ago, I invited someone to come on the board of the synagogue of Young Israelish. And says, I'm the rabbi of Young Israelish, and it's a great synagogue. It's in Fort Apache, Sahara, near there. And we have classes going on every single day, services and classes. And we have classes of all levels. And there's for adults, and there's programs for children. And it's a very, very dynamic community. There's a lot of people, and people are really engaged in each other, people's lives. And it's a very friendly place, very accepting place. Anyway, so what happens is that many years ago, we have a board of directors, and I invited someone to come on the board of directors, and I figured this fellow would be just really fantastic because what he did is he had his a master's in Jewish communal development, and he was working for at the time he was one of the hoity-toits at the Jewish Federation here in Las Vegas. He was he was working as a staff guy, and he really knew how to develop Jewish organizations. This was his education. This was his expertise. So he says to me, Joy, he comes and he says at the first board meeting, he says, we just finished building our synagogue building. And he turns and he says, could I see the feasibility study that you did before you built the building? Yeah, because we were talking about how to, pay for the building, right? So I go, what are you talking about? He said, well, you didn't just build a building. You did a study, right? And did a feasibility study, right? Yeah, you figured out how many people do you have? How much is everyone donating? And, how much more do you think we could put together from various people? And then you made a decision that, okay, you could pay for this thing, you built the building. That's what you did, right? I said, absolutely not. Are you kidding? We didn't do that. If we worked on a feasibility study, we never would have started Young Israelish. I never would have moved to Las Vegas. You kidding? As a matter of fact, I was shocked. I was shocked because I said, wait a second. Every synagogue I know, every Jewish school I know, nobody does a feasibility study. No one does that. We rely on God. God is our feasibility study. You figure there's a need, and there's a need that needs to be accomplished, and then you go and you do it, and you rely on the Almighty to help you out. That's what happens. And maybe it's a little more stressful that way. But if we were to wait till we had the population around and the people that were committed before we started any project, we would never start any project. And here's the proof of this. This is an amazing thing. I'll tell you, this thing something incredible. So, when my wife and I moved to Las Vegas 22 years ago, 23 years ago almost. So Jewish Federation. There was a. We came to an Orthodox synagogue here that did not have a rabbi. They never had a rabbi, and there was one other Orthodox rabbi in town, and I don't know, 10 temples or something like that, and Jewish Federation, which is kind of like the Jewish version of United Way. Okay, they collect money. This is what they do. They raise money and they give it back into the community. They take a certain amount they use for programming, and then they give it back to things like Jewish Family Services to help the poor Jews, and and counseling services, and they give to Jewish schools, and they give to other programs. That's what they're supposed to do. So at that time, they said that Las Vegas was the fastest growing Jewish community in North America. They said that there were 70,000 Jews in Las Vegas, but a very low affiliation rate. And Jewish Federation had a budget of $1.2 million. Okay, that's not a lot of money. $1.2 million, not very, very much. Especially you say 70,000 Jews. My gosh, but most of the Jews were not affiliated. Okay, so now, 20 years later, there's something like 38 Orthodox rabbis, full-time rabbis in Las Vegas. Okay. And there's something, there's 9 Orthodox synagogues in Las Vegas and multitudes of schools. It happens to be the Jewish Federation campaign is also around $1.2 million. They really haven't grown very much. But the thing is like this, that's without Sheldon Adelson's gift. Sheldon Adelson always does a matching gift, which pops it up, doubles the gift or whatever it is. But the point is that people didn't stop and do a feasibility study. They relied on the Almighty. They said there's a need for greatness. There's a need for Torah. There's a need for Judaism. There's a need for schools. There's a need for synagogues. And then what we're going to do is we will just take care of the need, and God will take care of us. And I always say, people talk about having children, and they're worried about having children. I always say, listen, every baby is born with his own breadbasket. It's like every time you have a child, your standard of living does not go down. It goes up. Somehow the babies get paid for. That's what happens. So we have to recognize this. So do you believe in miracles? How do miracles affect your life? My name is Rabbi Yitz Wyne. It's Passover. It's Easter, right? You're going to think about miracles. So if you believe in miracles, then you got to do something in your life to reflect that. And where I'm leading to is live your life with an expectation of blessings. We'll come back in just a few minutes with more of The Rabbi Show.
Thank you, Las Vegas, for naming One Nevada the #1 banker credit union in Las Vegas 3 years in a row. Join us today and experience why more Nevadans are choosing One Nevada for their financial and lending needs. Open your account online today or find a local branch at onenevada.org.
One Nevada Credit Union. Our one focus is you.
One Nevada is open to all Clark County residents, federally insured by the NCUA Equal Opportunity Lender.
The entertainment capital of the world is in the spotlight every Sunday with 2 news sections in the Las Vegas Review-Journal. In the new Etc. section, find style, fashion, shopping trends, and more. And in the new entertainment section, be center stage with celebrity profiles, special events, book reviews, plus travel and inside downtown. It's all in the Sunday Las Vegas Review-Journal and online at lvrj.com.
I drive a semi-truck. That means it's dangerous for you to pull right in front of me. Trucks are extra heavy, so they...
Can't stop as fast as a normal car.
Right. If you don't give me enough room when you pull in front of me, I could...
crash right into you.
Yes. So, play it safe when passing a semi-truck. Wait for 2 lights in your rear view mirror.
Or steer clear.
Yeah, I think you helped make my point. Don't cut off truckers. Brought to you by Badge on Board.
And 0 fatalities.
Looking for a new job? Meet face-to-face with dozens of great companies at the LasVegasJobs.com Job Fair on Thursday, April 20th at Texas Station from 11 till 2. This is your opportunity to meet with some some of the best employers in the Valley offering hundreds of real jobs. Be sure to dress for success. Bring lots of resumes and be ready to apply for your new job. Go to LasVegasJobs.com now to print your VIP pass. Find your new job this Thursday, April 20th at Texas Station from 11 till 2. For more information, go to LasVegasJobs.com.
Is it time to give your home a facelift? Well, the simplest possible way is with brand new custom blinds from Blinds.com. Blinds.com will transform your home without breaking the bank. You get a free online design consultation, free samples, and free shipping, and their prices unbeatable. Plus, if you accidentally mismeasure or pick the wrong color, they'll remake your blinds for free. Now through April 18th, get up to 30% off site-wide at Blinds.com. Just use my promo code PAGS, P-A-G-S. Blinds.com. Promo code PAGS. Rules and restrictions apply.
You're unique, so why is your mattress one size fits all? Because a custom mattress costs thousands, until now. Hi, I'm Christian von Rickenbach, founder of HelixSleep.com, where you can buy a mattress online, customized for you, for hundreds of dollars instead of thousands. Go to HelixSleep.com, answer a few simple questions, and we build you the most comfortable mattress you'll ever sleep on. Shipping is free, and you have 100 nights to try it out. Go to HelixSleep.com/talkradio and get $50 off your order. HelixSleep.com/talkradio.
This is Rabbi Yitz Wyne. My rabbi taught me the battle for life is the battle for clarity. He was talking about intellectual clarity, but if you want clarity in your vision, do what I did. Call my friend Dr. Richard Rothman at LASIK of Nevada, 636-2010. I wasn't going to let anybody touch my eyes, but shortly after he performed his painless procedure, I was rolling around playing ball with my boys without glasses. One of the best decisions of my life. Time to get focused. Call Dr. Rothman at LASIK of Nevada, 636-2010. Ask for Rabbi Vision, and he will give you a 50% discount on premium LASIK.
News Talk 720 KDWN, where Las Vegas comes to talk.
And I am the Rabbi of the Unusual Age of Las Vegas, your host here on the Rabbi Show. And I got great news. The Almighty loves you very, very much. And here is my question to you. My question is, do you believe in miracles, and what's the difference? You know what? I say that I asked the question nicely. But here's how to ask the question. Let's hear it from Al Michaels. Go ahead. Yeah, that was it was a little fuzzy, but that's how he did it. I don't know why that was fuzzy, but yeah, boy, that's a great one. Happy Passover, happy Easter. You know, tonight is a Yom Tov. It's the end of Passover. We're going to be celebrating the fact that God split the sea, and that's fantastic. It is fantastic. God split the sea, and we know that we who are believers in the Torah, in the Bible, we believe there are miracles, but the question is, do we live like there are miracles? So as we identify that God runs the world in three levels. One level is the natural. What you see, hear, taste, smell, what is. Then there's miracles, right? These are the miracles in the Bible. These are really big. And then there's a level of blessing, and that's where I want you to live. I want you to live in the level of blessing. Level of blessing means that whatever you're doing in life, you're confident that God is going to sprinkle a little bit of his favor upon you, and you'll be even more successful. That whatever relationship you have, you think your relationship is good, it can be great. Just ask the Almighty for a little blessing in it. That's all. Not so much that it's weird, right? Not so much that it's miraculous, because God's not coming out of the shadows in this world. The Almighty, but you can see him. You can see him give you a blessing. You know, this year you made X amount of money. You know what? Ask the Almighty for a little more. Ask the Almighty to give you a little more blessing. That's what you should do. Ask God for more blessing. That's what's going on. That's what you want to do, right? You know, it's very interesting. You know, the miracles are hidden miracles are kind of like they're all over the Torah. You know, there's a great story told of Elisha, and he meets a woman, and Elisha was Elijah's prophet. He was his understudy, and this woman was very poor, and she had helped him. So he said to her, he said, you know, gather as many jars as you can, and fill up your whole house with jars. So she went and she gathered a bunch of jars. And then he took one jar and had her take one jar of oil and said, start pour the oil into the jar, and just as long as it keeps flowing, just keep pouring from jar to jar to jar. And as many jars as she gathered together in her house, she started pouring the oil, and the oil filled up all the jars. Okay. And you say, and this was Alicia's way of making her very, very wealthy. Now, of course, if she had one more jar, then she would have gotten even more oil. When she got 10 more jars, she could have fit 10 more jars in there. She would have gotten even more oil. And of course, it's obvious that God is creating the oil from nothing, right? That's obvious because he's just pouring from a jar. But, why didn't God do it? Create it, like say, oh, here's a vat, and then boom, there's oil. Why go through that process of gathering the jars and pouring the oil and going from, spot to spot? Why do that? And the answer is that God wants to keep it a little more hidden, right? And if the Almighty does that, then he keeps he keeps his presence hidden a little bit and gives us free will. The number to call is 702-257-5396. Do you believe in miracles, and what is the difference in your life? Do you rely on God for miracles? Do you rely on God for miracles? We should rely on God for blessings. I wouldn't say we should rely on him for huge miracles. Blessings means things should get better. Now, it's interesting, if someone gets sick, God forbid you have, someone who gets cancer, and they say, well, there's 1 in 8 chances this person will survive. Okay, well, that's just a statistic. Your friend can be that 1 in the 8, right? That's how it works. So, that's statistic. And asking God for blessing means, okay, God, make me that 1 in the 8th. Okay? All right. The number to call, 702-257-5396. My name is Rabbi Yitz Wyne. I'm the Rabbi of Young Israel, Aish of Las Vegas. And let's go. Let's go to the phones. Thomas, good morning.
Hello.
Hello, Thomas. How are you?
Good. I've had a question for weeks now. One of your lectures, it's wonderful. It pertains to soulmates and how the future wife of one of the mystics had served two cups of tea every morning while he was studying. My question is, what is a Jewish mystic and what is Jewish mysticism?
Ah, that's fantastic. I am so glad you're asking the question. But before I give you the answer, Thomas, I have to give you good news. Are you ready for the?
Is it about Israel?
It's the Almighty loves you very much. So yes, that is about Israel. So this is how it works. You ready? So you're asking a great question. So the story specifically that you are referring to is a person who was named by the Ashlich, and this was a person. Was he known as a Jewish mystic? I guess he kind of was, but really he was a person who studied Torah and had a God awareness. And the more Torah we study and the holier we are, the more God awareness we develop in our lives. The more we see behind the obvious in life. And there's many layers behind the obvious. So it really starts with a person connecting with God. Our tradition tells us, who is the one who's listened to? Who's the one whose voice is heard? Someone who fears God. And we say that, everything in heaven everything in the world is up to heaven, except for fear of heaven. Everything depends on God, except for fear of heaven. The only thing that we really have choice in life is how much God awareness do we have? And the more God awareness we have, the more we see beyond the obvious. And that's what you're referring to. You're referring to a situation of this fellow, his name was Ashlich, and he would study and he would see that, the spirit of Elijah the prophet would come and study with him. And we can see things beyond the obvious when we are deeply, deeply connected with God and God's will. That's what it is.
Thank you. But what is Jewish mysticism?
So it is just, if you want to go to the technical definition of Kabbalah, right, which is that they translate Kabbalah as mysticism. So Kabbalah literally means, the word Kabbalah is to receive, and it means it's someone who's received the tradition. In other words, the Jewish tradition is very large. The written tradition is contained in the Bible, the 5 books of Moses, and then the prophets and the writings. But all the time when Moses was on the mountain for 40 days and 40 nights, he received the 613 commandments and all the information one would need in order to fulfill those commandments. That information was written down, but it was not published. And therefore, it's called the oral Torah. So the oral tradition, part of that is legal, part of it is stories, and part of it is what we would call mysticism. And the difference between the legal parts and the mystic parts would be the legal parts tell you what you have to do. You know, tonight is a Yom Tov. If a Jewish person is observing all the commandments, it's a holiday. He's not going to drive. He's not going to pick up his phone. He's not going to go on his computer. Okay. The mysticism part is when a person observes the holiday, when he eats matzah, what happens to him? So, for example, the Jewish law is you're not allowed, a Jew is not allowed to eat bread on Passover. And if he does, it's very, very bad for his soul. The Jewish mysticism, the Kabbalah will say this is exactly what happens to a soul. When a Jew eats bread on Passover, he infuses a sense of laziness, a sense of complacency, a sense of arrogance and ego into his soul, and it makes it more difficult to get out of it. If he replaces that bread with matzah, you know, that very thin cracker that is just flour and water baked very fast without any yeast or dough. So he infuses in his soul a greater sense of humility, a greater sense of alacrity, a greater sense of ability to focus on that which is most important to him. You get it? So Jewish law is what you do. Jewish mysticism is, or the Kabbalah is, when you do what you do or don't do what you do, so then you're going to, you know, there's an impact. And that's it. Thomas, thank you so much for the call. Appreciate you. Okay, the number to call is 702-257-5396, 702-257-5396. My name is Rabbi Yitz Wyne, and we're talking about miracles. And, last call is very, very, very appropriate because we have to recognize that everything we do has an effect. Everything we do has a very, very deep effect. And some miracles are kind of open there, and some miracles are very, very hidden. But everything's a miracle. I mean, ultimately, everything's miraculous because there's nothing inherent in nature that would cause the rain to fall, for example, or that we would be at peace with our enemies because the Torah commandments have been observed, or that there would be a drought because of a violation of a particular prohibition. But yet the Torah would say, if you do the right thing, rain will fall, and if you'll have peace with your enemies. And if you don't observe certain things, so then there's going to be a drought, right? So even though there are blessings that occur and hidden miracles which appear to be totally natural, the only reason they're made public is because they occur on a scale of an entire nation. So in other words, like this is how it works. If you have a single righteous person, so he will live, for example, because his illness will be removed, and he'll live out his lifespan. And the same occurs with wicked people. But the difference is going to be that if you have a righteous person and he says, I want to be righteous, then what the Almighty will do is he'll take away a natural, something that the nature would have determined that would be a detriment to him. And the Almighty will say, okay, I'll protect you from that because of his righteousness. And if you have a wicked person, then the wicked person, nature would have said, okay, things should go in a proper path for him. But because he's wicked, then the Almighty throws the kibosh on his, on what was going to happen. Now, we all know that there are righteous people and bad things happen to them. And we know there are wicked people that good things happen to them. How do you even the score? So that's one of the reasons, that's one of the proofs, so to speak, the intuitive proofs of life after death. Because we all know that this world is not just. It's not a just world. Intuitively, we know it should be just. And really, one of the only ways to kind of even the score, so to speak, is to have a heaven or hell, that kind of thing, an afterlife. And I always think that, like, people that don't believe in God, people say, oh, whatever there is, there is. well, there's so many miracles that are always happening, and they have a lot of faith because they have to rely that the miracles that are happening are really by chance. It was just chance, and of course, the biggest miracle is creation. It was just chance that you have one planet, third rock from the sun, should fall exactly where it did, because if we were another million miles closer to the sun, we'd burn up, and if we were a million miles further from the sun, we'd freeze, right? Like life would be impossible, right? And the balance is so incredible, just for life to exist, and then for intelligent life to exist, and then for us to connect with each other. The odds are so against. You say, well, the universe is real big, so okay, we're the one in quadrillion, but the odds are so far against it that you need so much faith to be an atheist. I mean, I don't know anybody who lives with that much faith. The amount of faith you would need to be a thinking atheist, to actually be someone who says, no, there's no God. So a person that is, a little less faith will believe in God because it just makes more sense. But and then once you're believing in God, so then you can believe in God for many things. And you can, you ride that wave. Okay, God. Now there's miracles. Okay, once there's miracles, I realize that, okay, most miracles are going to be kind of like hidden in nature, so to speak. But still, what I can do is I can rely that I can affect the world. I can affect the world through my righteousness. Or as we were talking with Thomas, that one of the best ways to become righteous, very quickly, by the way, is to develop something, as we say in the Hebrew, is Yireh Shamayim. Yireh Shamayim means to have a God awareness. That is one of the first ways to become righteous, is always ask yourself, what does God want me to do? To be aware that God is in the room right now, to be aware that God's watching you right now. And when you have that awareness, you see things. You're not strange things, but you perceive things on a deeper level. And because you perceive things on a deeper level, people listen to you in a much bigger way. That's what it is. My name is Rabbi Yitz Wyne, and I am your host here on the Rabbi Show. You're also and the Rabbi of Young Israel in Las Vegas. The number to call is 702-257-5396. 702-257-5396. Miracles. Do you believe in miracles, and does it affect your life? How does it kind of work? Right? So you gotta know how that goes. And I want to invite you to go on my Facebook page, Yitz Wyne, Yitzwyne. You can become a friend of mine. But please message me. Please message me that you heard the radio program and you want to be a friend of mine. Because if you just request me as a friend, who knows if it's spam or not? I get 100 friend requests a week. If I don't have mutual friends, I don't know to get you in there. So you just tell me send me a message saying, by the way, heard you on the radio and I want to be a friend of yours. That's one way. The other thing is you can go on my YouTube channel, which is huge, and I send out these videos every week, just talking about life, and actually I go through the weekly Torah reading. And, what we do is we take the 5 books of Moses and we take it and divide it up into 54 sections. And it's every week I send over some little snippet, kind of like a 5-minute example of what I would speak about in synagogue. If you come into Young Israel of Las Vegas on Saturday mornings at around 11 o'clock, so then you'll see I speak for about 10 minutes. So that's my main message for the week at around 11 o'clock in the morning on Saturdays. And it's not long, but it's very powerful and insightful. And I try and give a taste of that on my YouTube channel every week. Okay, so the number to call is 702-257-5396, 702-257-5396. We're talking about miracles. Let's go to Diana. Diana, thank you for calling.
Hey, hi. I could give you a miracle about safety, life, and money, but...
Well, that sounds pretty good. Okay.
Yeah, but you said something that I thought was more important. Well, it's a miracle when you say about life. How we all want the world to be better. How we all would love the dream of waking up and everyone would do what's right, would be kind, who would be generous, because obviously then we wouldn't have a mess, right?
Right.
So we find our kindness, our righteousness, our holiness, our connection to God. And then when people kick us or things don't go as we think we should, I think maybe the miracle is not lose your connection to God and accept that. People have free will, and they will do what they choose to do, and because they're not connected, and we don't lose our connection because they're still in their evil state, and they're going to do what they're going to do, and we can't change them, and we can't lose our connection to God, and we can't actually make them get a connection to God. We can help them. We can show them things, but we can't make them. And I think we would all like to just pick them up and shake them and make them. And we
that free will. Well, I think it's a big point. That's the big point. See, God wants us to have a relationship with him. And one of the rules of relationship is it cannot be forced. You can take someone and put a gun to their head and say, tell me you love me or I'll blow your brains out. And they will say, I love you. But you cannot say, let's have a beautiful relationship together or I'll blow your brains out. You cannot force a relationship. And that's why I do like what you're saying in the respect that you cannot force a person to have a relationship with God. You can help them. And the way you help them is by emulating, if you are someone with a God awareness, emulating happiness and faith and positivity and optimism. And people are attracted to that. And then when they see that the root of your positivity and your acceptingness and your good energy, your happiness is your connection with God, then they will search that out and they will connect on their level too.
Yeah, and it's very hard for us because we're in this world and it's physical and all that. When things go wrong that shouldn't, you cannot be angry at God because you're thinking, why? But yeah, because it's that thing about free will, and people go, well, it's very difficult on people that when, others are just so bad.
Right.
And you're thinking, well, why are you?
So here's the thing. So Diana, do you believe in miracles, obviously?
Yeah.
So does it affect your life? Do you ever stop and say, God, just give me a little miracle? Not a huge one, just a little one.
Oh, I've had, that's why I said I had one that basically saved my life, saved my child's life. And when my husband passed, if you're ready for it, the VA in less than 2 months had my pension through and everything.
That's a miracle.
Oh, my God. Oh, you don't know because what they tried to, because you've heard stories about it. Yeah, I'm going, I got the letter that the guy told me I would get that would tell me, oh, they got my paperwork and then sit back and relax. It was the letter that said it's done. And I went, huh? What? I was surprised. And I'm going,
right.
Okay.
That's right. All right. Listen, Diana, thank you so much for the call. I super appreciate it.
Okay, thanks. Bye-bye.
All right. The number to call is 702-257-5396. Miracles, miracles, miracles. Again, I think when you ask for miracles, you want to ask, you can ask for them. It's like, let's say you have a person who you can't force relationships, but there's someone you want to get along well with. So you can say very easily, God, please create a situation the person sees me favorably. You can do that. In other words, you understand, like, that's not asking for a relationship with the person. Say, God, create a situation where they see me favorably. That's what it is. Help me, God, help me create an environment that we can get along better. That's what it is. And sometimes you want a person out of your system. Sometimes you have a person in your system and you say, like, oh boy, I want to be freed from this. So then, the truth is, nature abhors the vacuum. We will always fill up something. So the way to get a person out of your system, so to speak, who you're thinking about, is to bring another person in your system. That's the way to do it. So you turn to the Almighty and you say, okay, God, bring another person in my system so that other person is not in my system. That's how that works, right? If you're a person, or if you're in a stressful life situation, people with young children that's a very stressful period of time, a great period of time. And yes, all the kids, they grow up too fast. They do. and you're going to miss it. But you ask that the Almighty help you, give you strength, and give you happiness, and give you peace, and give you, help, give you the right kind of support. In other words, and the Almighty can create systems around that can, in a hidden way, and they are miracles. But the Almighty creates things around all the time for us. But the more we are aware that He is doing it, the more we are Yarei Shamayim, the more fearful of God we are. In other words, and I mean fear, I don't mean, God's going to strike me down. I'm not talking about that kind of fear. I'm just talking about the awareness of God. And then we actually, God gives us more power, so to speak. He entrusts upon us more power. Like, for example, one of the reasons why Moses was considered the greatest prophet who ever lived. Incredibly powerful. But he was also known as the humblest man who ever lived. As the expression says, why is the ocean rule over 1,000 rivers? Because it lies beneath all of them. All the rivers flow to the ocean because the ocean's the humblest. It's beneath them. So the sense of humility, the sense of understanding that, okay, God's running the world here, and I'm going to put my trust in Him. I'm not going to stress out over it. I'm not going to worry about it. Okay, God, you're running the world. I'm going to do my best to conceal Him in the respect that I put forth effort, right? Just like Alicia did when he's pouring the oil, right? That's how it works, Alicia brought a child back to life, and he kept it as a hidden miracle when his friend, Gehazi, revealed that, so then it didn't work. It didn't work. In other words, miracles are not supposed to be overt. They're supposed to be hidden. So if I want more money, what I do is I do investments. I work hard, okay? If I want health, if I want God to give me the miracle of health, and health is a miracle, then I have to sleep enough, and I have to exercise enough, and I have to modify my diet. And when I do that, when I do those things, then I feel better. And that is a miracle. And I pray. And God can give me a larger jump in health simply by me expressing to the world that, hey, listen, I'm sleeping enough, I'm eating right, and I'm exercising. And then all of a sudden, the Almighty doesn't give me what would natural terms, a 5% jump in health. He can give me a 50% jump in health. All right? That's how it works. That's a miracle. But I have to do my part to hide it. All right, my name is Rabbi Yitz Wyne. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm the Rabbi of Young Israel, Aish of Las Vegas. Great synagogue, 9590 West Sahara, near Fort Apache in Sahara. Come by on Saturday mornings. You'll love it. It's a very accepting community. Go to my Facebook page, Yitz Wyne, YITZWYNE. And of course, go over to the Young Israel Aish website and my YouTube channel, and you will have a fantastic experience. You will, because you'll learn a lot, okay? Spread the good word. Remember, let gratitude be your attitude, and always remember,
Great God in heaven, you know I love you.
Live joyfully. I'm Rabbi Yitz Wyne.